Okay guys, we know that new Krieg is just around the corner and we're all very excited to get our hands on it and start to build or expand our existing Krieg armies. But let me tell you that there is not just the Games Workshop models when it comes to expanding or starting a Krieg army. There is so many incredible third-party places out there to get stuff. My primary one, and the one that I use to add so many extra units, kind of extra bits and pieces to my army, is Station Forge. Station Forge is of course a digital creator that makes awesome files for you guys to print out and paint up. Now, if you do not have access to a printer and you don't feel like you have access to those miniatures, this video is here to tell you that you are wrong. The sponsor of today's video is Proxy Wars, and they are a company that 3D prints those miniatures for you and delivers them straight to your front door. And in today's video, I'm going to be painting up a Death Korps of Krieg Ogres from that website and showing you the kind of level of detail you get from this, the quality of the miniatures, and what kind of awesome bits and pieces you can add to your army at very little cost. So that sounds like something that interests and excites you, then stick around and enjoy this video. Before I get into it though, just as usual, I'm going to say a big thank you to all of my active patrons and everyone that supports Mediocre Hobby out there in the myriad of different ways that it is possible to do so. If you're interested in getting involved with that yourself, there are links down in the description below to the Patreon. You get access to a private Discord server. You can talk to me on a daily basis about your awesome hobby and getting involved with all the different events that we do over there. You also get access to an extra video every single week just for you guys. So if that sounds like something that excites you, check it out. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in, get this guy painted up. Okay, this is just one of 10 Krieg that you get in the set, 10 of the Ogres. Now, they're all obviously multi-part kits, and I do believe I built this one wrong. So there is Bullgrin torsos, which do have the extra armor, and I think I put one of the armored legs with one of the unarmored torsos, which was my bad. I think the unarmored torsos are supposed to be used to represent the Ogres, the armored ones obviously for the Bullgrins, but I wanted to show you like the Krieg look, and I think obviously without the armored torso you get to see that awesome jacket, which makes it feel a bit more Krieg. So I do believe I made a little bit of an oopsie when I was constructing the model, but I think it'll be okay, hopefully. So we're going to paint this guy exactly as if he was one of my Krieg infantrymen, exactly the same steps, exactly the same paints. So I'm sure you've watched one of those videos before, you will know exactly what's going to happen next. Obviously there's going to be a couple different changes, things like that awesome big slab shield. Because this guy is so big and so like imposing, I employed my tank technique at the end of the video when it came to weathering powders, to add just a little bit of dirt and grime and excess and weathering to this awesome piece. At the very end of the video, it's the last step that I did, and I wasn't even really planning to do it until it struck me. I really like the final result. I think it looks awesome. So if you're excited to see how I use some weathering powder on this guy, then do stick around to the end of the video. As you can see, standard Space Wolves Grey, Wildwood, Skeleton Horde, all those standard colors to block in these colors. Now, what can I say about Proxy Wars? Like I said, Proxy Wars are just the kind of intermediary. They're the sponsor of today's video. They're a company that obviously buys the 3D printing merchant license from different vendors, so that they're allowed to legally print off their miniatures and sell them to you as physical things. The company's been going for a long time, done a bunch of successful Kickstarters for scenery and stuff like that. But their catalog of stuff is insane. If you want to collect Old World, if you want to collect Lord of the Rings, if you want to collect 40k, there's so many different things to check out. So if nothing else, if you do not even like this video, if you don't intend on buying anything at all, I still think it's worth checking out the website and seeing if there's any crazy miniatures out there that jump out at you, especially for the price. As a person who does own a whole host of 3D printers, and I have access to doing that myself, sometimes it's still easier to just have somebody else do it for the price. Like I had them print out the 40k Thunderbolt for me, mainly because I didn't want to do the hassle. Now I've got bigger printers now, it's a little bit easier. Back in the day I had a small printer. I could have physically done it, but I just wasn't dealing with the hassle, so I let them do it, and that was another video I did for them a while ago. And their Krieg selection is something to be the awed at, because they do follow the GrimGuard from Station Forge, which I think are the best third-party Krieg on the market anywhere, so being able to just order them up is pretty gnarly. Okay, we've gone in for the rest of the details. We've gotten some silver on, we've got some gold on. Pretty much ready to rock and roll. We've got some black on for things like boots and belts and stuff like that. Obviously, we are now going to shade the miniature. We're going to hit it with Seraphim Sepia and give it a full coat all over. Now, unfortunately, this sepia did unfortunately go gloss when it was drying. It was a bit of a pain. It's not what I wanted to happen. Sometimes you can get a dodgy shade and that can happen and it can ruin your whole day. Unfortunately, that's what happened with this guy. So I did hit it with a coat of Minotaur varnish over the top of it to nullify that big glossy coat. But it's still a little bit shiny, a little bit shinier than it would be if you did it with a normal pot of sepia at home. Obviously, I got the model base as well to match my Krieg. If I had a little bit more time, I probably would have given these guys the trench treatment, given them the duck boards and stuff like that. But we shall make do. Obviously, we have time constraints on these videos, and we can't really do everything we want to. Krieg is going to be a big part of the channel for the next couple of weeks. So if Krieg, Imperial Guard, 40k is up your sleeve, something they're excited about, please do stick around. Make sure you subscribe. Have that notification bell turned on so you don't miss any of the uploads. And I promise you, you will be bombarded with Krieg for the next kind of couple of weeks as we go through all of the awesome new things coming out for them. We talked about this a lot before, the idea that I use like one coat highlights. I want these models to be very quick and very accessible. Like if you're painting Krieg infantry, you're probably painting 50, 60 models. You can't be spending all day doing them. And I kind of applied the same logic to this Ogre, and I was doing exactly the same steps. But then I kind of realized that these models, like there's such bigger, flatter areas where more detail, and if you do kind of a not that good of a job, like, you know, not 3-stage highlights or anything like that, it can kind of look a little bit flat and a little bit, you know, not good. And I was getting to the end of the project of painting this guy up, and that's kind of how I was feeling. His jacket is fine, but it's a little bit flat. And that's where the weathering powder did come in and save my bacon. But I will show you that in a minute. Sandry dust for highlighting things like mask, the gloves, and the wraps around the back of his armored calves. I do really like the final result though, and like I said, I cannot wait to add more to the army. Originally for this video I was planning on doing 3, but like time constraints did not allow that. So I'll do the other 2 in the next kind of couple days. Add them to my 5th Krieg shelf now at this stage in my cabinets. Krieg is definitely getting out of hand. Back to Lead Belcher for the highlights. Once again, just very quick highlights across armor panels, armor plates. And it's kind of at this stage where, you know, he's got armor from the waist down and not armor from the waist up, and it looks a little bit odd. But in my head, I kind of justify it that if this guy is fighting in combat and he's fighting, you know, he's charging into, you know, heretics lines, he's fighting traitor guardsmen, they can really only fight him from like ankle to midriff. The rest is kind of too high. So maybe having armored lower half to stop him being swarmed by like infantry probably makes a lot more sense. I grabbed a sponge and I did sponge onto the slab shield some more silver to add that kind of chipping and weathering and bashing all the small arms fire, which will be pattering off this guy as he stomps his way down a trench line towards the poor impending doom of his enemy. I added in some red for, of course, the traditional Krieg eye lenses. So a bit of Mephiston red painted into those eye lenses. 1 coat, nothing crazy. You can do 3 coats and a gloss varnish if you want to, but I'm not going to bother. And then this is where like I was finished up and I was like, you know what? The slab shield should be treated like the tank armor. So I'm going to add a little bit of weathering powder to the tank, to the slab shield. And before I knew it, I started applying the powder to kind of like the whole model. It was very light in places, heavier around the boots. But then I started hitting the jacket with it and stuff like that. And I keep thinking about the idea of, you know, like this is a siege soldier, like trench warfare. Like there's going to be huge shells landing all around him. That dust is going to be raining down on him as he's fighting. So he is going to be dirty and grubby. And if you've ever seen any of those World War I movies, any trench guys, they're always filthy and caked in mud. So I think this suits the look and the aesthetic a little bit more. I hit it with a Minotaur varnish again just to seal all that weathering powder in place. And this was the final result of our Krieg Ogren. Like I said, ready to stomp down these trench lines and deal with the enemy. Very pleased with the final result. Hope you guys like this. Hope you are looking forward to all of the extra Krieg content. And I'd love to know in the comments if you've worked with Proxy Wars before or have used any of the Station Forge Krieg guys, what your experience has been. And let me know if you're going to check them out as well. I'd love to know in the comments. You know, I watched this video and I went over to Proxy Wars and I bought myself some stuff. I'd love to know if these videos make a difference. So let me know, guys. Thank you so much. Okay guys, and there we have it, our Death Korps of Krieg. I suppose he's more Bulgren than Ogren with the slam shield and the the big maul. I just love how he turned out. The powder mixed in at the end to really kind of gruff him up and make him look like he's been stomping down trenches, beating heretics to death. Really did add that extra bit of flair and detail, makes it really set in with the army. So really pleased with the final result. I have 9 more of these guys to paint now, because obviously when you order them up from the website, you get 10 of them. So that's quite a lot of Ogres and Bulgrins to be painting up. So it'll bolster your Krieg force very, very well. Like I said before, this video is sponsored by Proxy Wars. I will leave them linked down in the description below if you want to check out their website and see the thousands and thousands of miniatures they have available to print and send straight to your front door. Also, make sure you do those 3 things you should do for all creators if you watch and enjoy their videos. Make sure you give the video a like, ask any questions if you have any in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Those 2 things cost you nothing, but it really does help push these videos out to more people and helps us to grow bigger and stronger. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around at the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.